With so many games, so many amazing inspirations out there, and so many people left to be the forever GM, there's quite a lot of different GMing styles. But of all the styles out there is one that can very subtly, without you even realizing it, make you swiftly lose players. Of course, stick around till the end, but I'm very interested to know your thoughts on this topic in the comments down below. And also, this is going to be a video saying what not to do, but in the comments down below, while you're down there telling me about your thoughts on this topic, leave some tips for other GMs so they can improve their own game while readying for the next session. So about this style, this issue that I want to bring up, it's not one that's going to land you on RPG horror stories because it's not really a social issue or just people being awful. In fact, it's born out of a genuine want for fun for your players. No matter the system, you want them to have the best experience they can. But it can make the whole experience for your players feel like torture. And plain and simple, this issue is talking too much. Now, this isn't you just like distracting from the game or something by just keep talking about something else. No, you're being the GM 100% of the time. But you never stop. I'm making it sound quite serious, but this kind of GM is called the storyteller. They're sometimes called directors or authors, but for the sake of this video, a general term is storyteller. Storytellers are some of the most devout and genuine GMs that you'll ever meet. They detail a whole host of stuff for you as the player to see and enjoy. But you're going to see all of it. Because, of course, details help build a wall. They help build a world. So they really detail everything. And to some of you watching, this sounds like a great thing. Why am I complaining? I've got a GM who describes all sorts of things. They've prepared all sorts of things for me to enjoy. But the problem lies in when they just keep on going and keep describing and keep talking, and the only time that you really get involved is when they prompt you to make a roll. And the main word there is prompted, not you asked to make a roll, they prompted you without your involvement. The result of this kind of GMing makes you as the player feel like you're being read a fighting fantasy choose your own adventure book, except you're not really choosing the fantasy adventure that you're on. And now it's starting to sound like railroading. This isn't called storytelling, Ellis, this is railroading, but railroading is when the GM prepares something and you start to play and they force you down a single path that they want you to take. This is different because you're not really playing at all. You're just sat back, listening to the adventure. Some signs as a GM to look out for is when the players have not talked for quite a long time because you've been talking for quite a long time. And players, you will see this if the GM sits there and describes every single detail, even if it's not relevant to the game. This will be easier to envision if I give another kind of GMing style to compare this to. So instead of being a storyteller, I prefer this other kind of GMing, and this other kind of GMing is being less of a storyteller and more of a referee. As a referee, you probably still have something prepared, even if it's just a little thing, you probably have something prepared. I mean, you don't need to, but it's not the point. The difference is that when it comes to describing stuff, you'll describe a little to get the sort of generic or general area described. You describe enough, but then leave the players to then ask you what they might have missed or what they want to actually do. The difference here is that the referee will have maybe some hooks to pull the players along, but it's the players that drive the story. They're here to play, instead of the story being driven by the script behind the screen of the storyteller. You can also tell this is happening when combat or a conflict of some kind happens not because we dug too deep, took a risk, were too bold, or went into a dangerous situation, and more like, well, it says here that there's a combat or there's a conflict and the players win, and we carry on. As a mighty games master, you might have this want or this fear that you need to perform to provide a beautiful world for your players to experience, but the players want to play in that world, not have it described to them. So let the players find and discover the interesting bits about your world and your lore, rather than just describing it because they got to the next part in your massively prepared script. And perhaps you as a storyteller GM have this want to make sure that your players get every single detail about what you prepared. You want to make sure that they get every single detail and it's definitely being absorbed, but I'm just going to put it out there. The players aren't here to witness your world. They're here to play. They're not audience members. they're players. And you might say, no, I do have a player like that. They want to know every single detail about every single thing. Well, if you do have that, and you have one player that's like, yes, I want to know everything, then here's a tip. At the end of your campaign, give him your campaign note. At the end of the campaign, because everyone else who has to sit there, who doesn't want the same thing, who wants to play this game, it will feel like they're being dragged across a gravel driveway with their clothes off and their skin off as well. It's kind of crazy to me that there's so many stories online or being told face to face about these kinds of GMs. Storyteller GMs who just talk and describe everything, who expect the players to just sit there and listen to them, but it's like they don't understand that players generally don't want to be the vessels through which your game or your world or your descriptions are forced through. Generally, players don't want to be the vessels in which you stroke off your ideas onto. No, a person reading a book wants to know the story, a person watching the film wants to watch the film. A player, in whatever game you're playing, wants to play that game. And you might be sat there watching this video and think, this is bullcrap. You're talking about storytellers and how they're bad, but a storyteller is what a GM is. I tell stories. Well, just look at the word. Games master. Not author, not director. Games master. You're here to run a game, not read a book. There are plenty of games out there that have a rich, beautiful, poetic and wonderful story, and you can bring that to the table as well, but you're a games master. Let the players experience the story through play. The best story games integrate gameplay and the story together. The worst story games only have the story and there's no gameplay. That's not a game, that's just a story, and you are just a storyteller. And if you disagree and think, no, my players do want story, do they want to sit there and just listen to you? They don't want to play the game, they don't want to roll the dice or get the character sheet out, they just want to sit there and listen to you talk about the things that you've prepped for the week. Do you think they want that? Or do you want that? Players are here to play, not be told the story. They want to be the story, to move the story, to affect the story and be affected by it. You are the master of the game, not just a master of the story. Thank you for watching. What do you think? Do you agree? Let me know in the comments. Do you disagree? Let me know in the comments. Let's fight about it and then make up and kiss afterwards. And if you enjoyed this video, then please consider leaving a like, leaving a comment, leaving a subscribe, leaving your baby by the door, consider leaving your bank details in the comments. If you want to see more videos like this one, then click the video on screen. I love you all, and I'll see you next time.